Buchanan, West Virginia, has the old-fashioned feel of the patriotic America of yesteryear. It's a conservative place in a conservative state that has a Republican supermajority in the House, Senate, and a pro-life governor. Just one abortion clinic remains in the capital of Charleston. And after the fall of Roe v. Wade, West Virginia was poised to ban abortion entirely.
My expectation was we were going to stand behind our total prohibition on abortion, which we have had in the state code since 1863.
Yep. But
that's not what has happened.
What happened was a complete gutting of a proposed ban that State Senator Robert Karnes says turned a pro-life bill into a pro-abortion bill.
I think the real problem is that too many people forgot what we're talking about here. If you understand that we're talking about destroying a human life and the focus is on preventing that, we would have got an entirely different product. Unfortunately, the Democrats as well as a couple of Republicans managed to change that conversation into how the exceptions ought to be handled, how they ought to be shaped, how broadly they could make them. And what got lost in that whole mix were the babies that we're trying to save.
How egregious is this?
It is a pro-abortion bill. How egregious this is that we're talking about a bill that was totally clean, that would have protected countless lives in West Virginia, and these guys totally gutted it. These Roe Republicans totally gutted it and turned it into an abortion bill.
what's happening here in West Virginia is really a mirror for the battle of the soul of the Republican Party nationwide. Is this going to be a party of principles and family values, or is it going to be a party of weakness and compromise?
It's very frustrating, obviously. A lot of times you get elected, and I was, of course, part of getting elected and turning West Virginia into a Republican state, and you think, great, now we can go out and do all this conservative stuff, and you find out pretty quickly just because somebody has an R beside of their name doesn't necessarily mean that they hold true to Republican values. And so, personally, very frustrating, but not entirely surprising.
There is absolutely no question about it. Protecting life in West Virginia is one of the big motivating factors that causes the Republican base to show up in elections. And so for these Roe Republicans to run on a pro-life platform, like for example, one of the Republicans that ended up voting for the decriminalization of abortion has said countless times that he is a 100% pro-life voting record, okay? That's what he's ran on. He's ran on that years past. And so now that he has had the opportunity to actually protect life at conception like what he promised, he voted the wrong way on this.
In the far eastern part of the state, Senator Patricia Rucker of Harpers Ferry says it's time for Republican voters to demand to know exactly what politicians mean when they say they're pro-life.
Exactly. I could tell you that I promise from now on to be asking them, do you believe there's any exceptions to life being protected? When do you think life begins? What stage? Those are questions are very crucial and important. And can we ever put conditions on when somebody's life is worth protecting and when it's not? What conditions would you put on it? Those are questions we now need to ask in these forums, in these opportunities. When someone says they want to run for office, we must get away from just saying, are you pro-life or not? Because there's many of these politicians who claim they're pro-life, but they clearly have not thought it all the way through or are frankly lying. After 50 years of horror, of murdering innocent children, we have got to understand that if we don't protect life from the very moment of conception to natural death, if we don't, as an understanding of the fabric of our nation, understand that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness can't happen without life first.